Hello, friends. Long time no see. It's your boy SPJ here, and welcome back. It is SPJ Live. It's good to be back. Unfortunately, last week, due to some unforeseen medical emergencies and whatnot, I elected to cancel last week's live stream, take care of health things and whatnot. I did not really want to, but you know, sometimes health is more important than pretty much anything, if you ask me. It's good to be back with you. It's good to be doing this thing again. Trying to figure out a rhythm for the whole, live stream thing. I know you guys like it. And so, because you... That's fun. Because you, the loyal viewer, love them so much... I will keep doing them. I should have really cut my nails before today. But it's good to see you all here again. We are again streaming live to YouTube and to Facebook, wherever you are watching from in the world. Welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy yourself. Please do interact in the chat. Ask questions. Interact with everybody else. Let's see all who we've got in the chat right now. I see Thomas York in the house. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you here. And, of course, the one and only Mr. Ben Coombs, celebrating 3K subscribers this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. So glad for you, buddy. Congratulations on that. It was nice to join you on Sunday for a little bit. Let's see. We got Terry's 3Gs in the house. Terry, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. JJ's House Jams is here as well. And I think I saw Laz might be lurking on his commute home from work. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's not a huge audience right now, but I think we're still kind of getting back into the swing of doing things here. It's been a really busy last couple of weeks here, to be honest with you guys. I wish I could say that means that there's going to be a lot more videos forthcoming, but it actually it doesn't mean that there's going to be more videos forthcoming. Purely just for the sake of there's so much that I've had to do outside of making videos. I've been coming up with some new song ideas, been trying to navigate some next steps, seeing where all we can go, me and the family, the wife, where we're going to be. We're honestly looking at starting fresh and new very soon, and so there's a lot of stuff to take care of here at the house before we make any of that happen. But then also had some car trouble recently, so we're gonna need to take care of that, which is fun. And yeah, just much more going on outside of the YouTube channel. So you guys have been relegated to just watching older videos, and hopefully you've been learning something from those. I personally have gone back a few times and watched some of my older videos to see if I can learn anything from them. Like, where was I at a certain point in presenting something, or, just overall, how have I changed? How have I evolved and everything? And it's kind of cool to reminisce, if you will. Hey, we got Amanda in the house. How you doing, Amanda? Looks like, oh no. Looks like you're not doing so well. Well, I hope you feel better. Health is important, as your good old brother said above in the chat. Health is important, so do your best to take care of yourselves. Janice Lala is in the chat. How you doing, Janice? Good to see you here. But I did finally manage over the course of the last couple days to shoot some material for some upcoming videos. We're going to do a video on the Ormsby, so that will be one of the new videos coming up. Also, you guys may have seen on social media that I got one of the Fender Mustang Micros. Just shot some material for that video today, and we'll need probably need another day to wrap up everything for this, but I hope that the video will be under 10 minutes long, because something this small doesn't need a half-hour long video in my estimation. And I just got the Friedman small box pedal in, and I've been checking that out. It came last Saturday, so I've been playing this guy, having a blast with it. It's a whole lot of fun. It's basically exactly what one would expect from a Friedman pedal. It's got that tone, it's got that sound, and I really like it. I really like it a lot. So, first Friedman pedal on the channel. Very excited about that. I won't be announcing another pedal that I just confirmed today will be on my way. I'm not going to announce what it is just yet. I would rather show you guys when it arrives, and then we'll worry about it from there. But I am very, very excited about it. And hopefully when I go to make the video for that, you guys will be as stoked as I am on it. I really should have cut my nails today. It's amazing what one extra string will change about your playing. I love this guitar so much, and I've really been bonding with it. But I do feel like there's still a part of me that, for as long as I've had this and for as much as I use it on a daily basis, I still feel like there's some challenges for me with the 7-string. So I will continue to practice, and I will continue to evolve, and I know somebody out there is going to like the fact that I switched to Strat. Dwight Bailey is here. How you doing, Dwight? Good to see you. I don't feel like I haven't seen you in a while in the chat, so welcome back. This isn't a nail clipping live stream. No, Ben. I'm sorry. Some folks may like that, but I do not. I do not. You guys are hearing a little bit of this new pedal board, which I had promised a couple weeks ago that I was going to make a video about, but when I sat down and I shot it, I kind of felt like I was rambling at certain points. I felt like I really hadn't, I just really wasn't getting my point across. It was rambling at times. I wasn't playing all that great, so I need to go back, reshoot that, and hopefully not cause too much trouble. Everybody run, everybody hide. Quentin's in the chat. Quentin's in the chat. Everybody be scared. I'm not scared, but everybody else should be scared. You don't scare me, Quentin. Come on. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, come on. Come on. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And yes, Ben, it is the pedal board that I teased on Sunday. That's what you're hearing right now. I'm running, I believe it is my... So it's half of my stereo rig that I have loaded on here. So it's, I believe this particular side that you're hearing is the Fender amp on the Walrus Audio ACS1. And currently I am running it in mono, and I have that paired up with a Marshall impulse response. So I get a little bit more push and cut out of it. And that's all from the Walrus Audio ACS1. That's got the Mako R1 and the Mako D1, a little bit of compression from the Strymon Compadre, and doing the quacky Stratty thing. 'Cause I got a Strat. 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 And I do agree, Quentin, the Strat does look awesome. But he is actually asking a valid question. Do you like the style of trim to float? To be honest with you, I like floating trim just because I like that kind of ability to waver in and out. I also like to do the sort of, you know, do the fake Jeff Beck thing. You know, I'm not Jeff Beck by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll get there. But I'm really into that whole Beck Landau thing of using the whammy bar to really influence the pitches. It's so much fun to play around with that, do the flutter kind of thing. So generally, if I can get a Strat bridge to float, then and stay in tune, most importantly, I'm a pretty happy guy. So and then if you can get this like this very specific kind of sound where I think I might be able to cop it. You know, just like this hefty reverb, this really nice like long delay with the right kind of tonality to it, the chorus and the compression. It's just like that sort of 1980s, 1990s session guitar player thing. You know, kind of like Michael Thompson, you know, doing stuff like that. So I like it like that, you know. It makes it a little bit more fun. You know, there are so many schools of thought on guitar, and one of the, like, especially when it comes to like what's the most, you know, versatile guitar, and the Strat is always seems to be the first in line for that conversation. And I don't know, for me, like, I gotta work with a Strat and like really get it to sound how I want it to sound. That's kind of the whole point of that Year of the Strat series that I had been doing, and still want to continue to do, to really explore that world. And this is the Strat that I feel like so far, in the ones that I've done videos on and ones that I've played previously in this whole search, that I feel like I don't have to fight too much for. I've definitely come across Strats where I just can't really coax the sound out of it, but part of it for me is always, you know, the whammy bar. I have to have a whammy bar, a vibrato that just works really, really well and is incredibly smooth. And that's one big improvement with this particular series of Strat. You know, there are still some adjustments that I want to make to this. I want to, you know, really get it set up for the kind of strings that I want to put on this. These are just the standard Ernie Ball 9 set right now, but I can still hear a little bit of kinking at the nut, so I want to make sure that those are filed correctly. Probably going to lube the string tree as well, just to make sure nothing's catching there. But for the most part, the bridge is set up exactly how I would want it to be set up. And I would agree with you, Quentin, like HSS Strats would be like the workhorse. But the one thing that I always end up finding that I miss in Strats when it's HSS is I always end up missing that authentic bridge single coil thing. Hey, Mark Shields, how you doing, buddy? I'm sorry you're not a fan of this burst. I am a huge fan of this burst, though. Behold, the Batman burst. That's what I call it. Let's see. I'm a big... I'm big on the whammy stuff, but for my Strat, which I take to a lot of jams where I need to be able to be tuned to different tunings really easily, I need my Strat not to float. So yeah, I like it. And I don't need my Strats to float. This stays in standard tuning. So, you know, what you gonna do? Fret Level Midnight in the house. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Glad to have you here. Well, Mark, I think it's not that it needs nut work. I probably just need to throw some like graphite in the saddles just to make sure that things are really slick. It's not like it needs a new nut or anything like that. I think I just will probably need to throw a little bit of pencil lead in there, and that's really gonna, and I do that to every guitar regardless of what it is. I'm sure like next string change, the Ormsby is gonna get it as well, and that thing was like much closer to $2,000. So, you know. And the other thing too, when you get a guitar, everything is so personal, you know? So however Fender or whatever company, Gibson, Ormsby, even my Jennings Navigator, you know, it's everything is set up to be generally acceptable when it comes to playing. And unless you're dealing with like very specialized custom instruments, you're not getting a setup from the factory on a factory instrument that is going to be 100% to your liking. Every guitar I've ever had, inevitably within the first year, I'm saying to myself, whether I bought it wholly with my own money, whether it was a gift or whatever, it just ends up at some point within the first year, I'm starting to pick out things about it that I don't like, things about it that I would like to see changed and modified and adjusted ever so slightly to suit my needs. So I'm still working with this to get it 100% how I would really want it to be. So it's going to take some time, but it'll get there. And I don't think that it's actually going to take too much money, especially to get it where I want it to be. Quentin says, I like how you don't say tremolo. Tremolo is an effect, vibrato is a technique. Well, I would say that it's more comes from, and I've said this many, many times, Leo Fender's worst contribution to the guitar was the fact that he mixed up vibrato and tremolo and labeled the tremolo on his amplifiers as vibrato and labeled his vibrato system on his guitars as a tremolo. It all comes down to how they actually affect sound. Tremolo is a modulation effect, but it modulates the amplitude, the volume of your signal. Vibrato is modulation of your pitch. So this, I should turn off all the effects. This is vibrato. This is tremolo. Oh, you know what? That's set to a vibrato. Hold on one sec. There's your tremolo. And there is tremolo and vibrato combined into one silly example of why those things are different. But that, I've always contended, that's Leo's worst contribution to the music world. Because it's caused so much confusion And that is why I specifically don't refer to whammy bars as tremolos, because they're not. It's just not tremolo. Oh, unfucking believable is just here for the calendar. Amazing. Amazing. Thomas is asking if I own a PRS guitar. Some people think they're very versatile too. I used to own a PRS. I had many, many years ago a PRS Tremonti SE. So it was like the first version of an SE in their single cut model. And I liked it a lot. But once you acquire 2 or 3 legit Gibson Les Pauls, you kind of shy away from the offshore PRS, even though it was a great guitar. The other thing that I had a problem with that guitar too is that the bridge wasn't like fully intonatable. It was kind of like an old school Les Paul Jr. bridge that didn't have individual saddles where you could adjust the sharpness and the flatness of the pitch to make sure that, you know, all across the neck your pitches are perfectly in tune. It was sort of just built into the guitar and into the bridge, and just didn't, after a few years of having it, as much as I loved it, I just wasn't getting on with it, so I moved on. Since then, I've played many PRS guitars, and I love them to death. I played a McCarty 594 at GitCon in 2017 that had this really cool like denim blue top with like insane flame maple on it. May have even been quilted. And then it had an all rosewood neck, which was just, oh, so good. Loved it. I would love to have a guitar like that in the collection. And then I'm also still interested in the Silver Sky, because it's like a Strat, but it's a new flavor, and it's a new take on it. I think that I've played them many times, and I still feel like they are one of the best put together guitars and best constructed guitars that you can buy right now. I think the only knock I would give against it is that when you buy one, it doesn't come with a hard shell case. It comes with a gig bag. You spend over $2,000 on a guitar, you kind of want to protect your investment a little bit more adequately. But at the end of the day, you know, I like using gig bags for playing out more often than I like carrying around 3 hard shell cases. You know, so something to think about. Well, chat's going by really quick. Chat is going by really, really quick. Want to make sure that I actually like, you know, see what you guys are saying. Wiggle sticks. There you go, Ben. That's the right way to do it. Hey, Gillis, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Quentin's asking if the fretboard has a lot of lacquer on it or if it's just the light. It does have a some sort of lacquer on it. I don't know if I would qualify it as a lot of lacquer. I would qualify it as some lacquer, but you're definitely getting a lot of that shine because of the light. That's definitely has something to do with it and makes it look a lot more glossy than it actually is. But the back of the neck is much more satin. Let's see if I can show that appropriately. Yeah. See, there's not as much gloss from the light on the back of the neck. So it's very, very easy to play on the back. I actually find that a little bit of gloss on the fretboard, I don't mind nearly as much as I mind having a really thick gloss on the back of the neck, because most of your hand is touching the back of the neck. The freer that your hand is to move up and down the back of the neck, this is kind of like, you know, your finger is touching metal that then touches metal that then just barely touches wood. So it's not that big of a deal in the long run for me. Turn off the tremolo. We have a question from Fret Level Midnight. Fret Level Midnight is asking, have I played a Vola? Yes, I have indeed. There are actually 2 videos on the channel that are demos of the 2 Volas that I have the most intimate experience with. I had the Oz ROA for quite a while and the Vosti RF. You can find those on the channel. You can go watch those after this or whenever you like. They are there and you can, you know, find that pretty easily. And I liked them a lot. Loved the sort of modern vintage aesthetic of them. And what I mean by that is that although the guitars looked very loud and in your face and very eye-catching, there was something solid about them that felt like a really well-built old guitar. But then they had these really insanely fast fretboards, incredibly flat, not a single like fretting out issue at all. But the necks were just chunky, like so chunky. It's all get out, and I love a good chunky neck. So when you're sitting there and you're playing and it's like you're able to do these really fast runs and whatnot, and you're just able to really grab onto bends at the same time and just go. Oh, it feels so good. Felt so good. I love that distortion pedal. That is a good one. Michael B in the house. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Nothing a little steel wool can't fix, definitely. That's a nice little hack. I haven't had to do it on this one, and I don't think I'll need to do it on the back there. Interesting. I was thinking they just dip them in clear. That's funny. You know, I've been eyeing a couple MIJ Fenders recently. They came out with this, they call it the Noir Jazzmaster. So it's like a flat black Jazzmaster with like red accents, and it just looks so cool. And I want a Jazzmaster. So I've been looking at prices of those, but I'll have to pay more attention to the back of the neck, because if they dip them in clear, then we're gonna have some problems. Yup. Nothing like fuzz. That is my Keeley fuzz bender, by the way, in case any of you are curious. Let's see. Let's keep on cruising down. Scott Brockway in the house. How you doing, my friend? Lillian is here. Oh, Lillian, you must have enjoyed that last little bit. All those bends. All those bends. But don't worry, there will be more. There will be more. Fret Level Midnight just got a WR2 wah rocker. Awesome. Yeah, Gaiatone and a lot of those like really wacky effects from the 70s. They just work. I'm eyeing some of their old tube flip pedals. The tremolo in particular sounds really, really nice. Gillis had one of the Paul Allender PRS SEs. That's awesome. And I do remember the bat inlays instead of the birds. But I guess, according to him, didn't like the flat top body, so it didn't turn out to be a keeper. That's too bad, because, you know, you might be able to get quite a nice little bit of chunk of change for those these days. They are not currently being made. There is Laz. How you doing, buddy? Hope you got home safe. Uh-oh. Bro, I'm warning you, if you hate tons of lacquer, I'd avoid MIJ Fender. I love them for that very reason. Well, you know, I'll keep it in mind. But man, Fender Japan just makes these really cool limited things that just, I wish the USA factory would do more cool stuff like that. Well, Fret Level Midnight, let me give you a little bit more accurate preview of that fuzz bender, because that was my Ibanez Session Man and the fuzz bender stacked together. But even by itself, and I have it set in a very specific way, because the way I have this board running is I have a wireless before it, which obviously has a buffer in it. So a lot of people, buffers, fuzzes, they're very like, oh, why would you do that? But I actually like that. I don't mind it. And so the settings that I have on there are set specifically for when I'm using the wireless. So like all the high end is dialed out. And on the bridge pickup, it almost sounds like I've got an Octavia, but there's no octave up in there. But I can pair that up with other pedals, like here's my JHS Bonsai. Stack on the fuzz bender. Or I can go to the Session Man. Stack the fuzz. That was quite a sound. I could have vibed on that for a lot longer. I wouldn't really go for the Mayer tone, but, you know, I could hear that too. It's really more of the... This is more of what I would call my, my another brick in the wall tone. But, I mean, I suppose you could do... You know, suppose you could do that. But nothing against John Mayer. He's a fantastic player. He's got fantastic tone, but that's not really what I go for so much. I can fake some country stuff with it too, so it works. That delay is actually a slapback that I've gotten from the Chase Bliss Mood Vol pedals. Who would have thought you could get great slapback delay from a purple, red, some other shade of red, and peach colored pedal? Love it. Hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. I know you like this Strat too. This is quite a popular color, I have to say. I feel like in the last couple of weeks, there's been quite a lot of comments on that video of this guitar, which if you haven't seen, please do go check out. everybody's just like, man, I love that color. Man, I love that color. And almost everybody that I talk to that has gotten a guitar from this series that's a YouTuber has generally wanted the Dark Knight finish. I know when I saw this with the maple fretboard, I'm like, yep, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. So I'm really stoked on it, and I love it a lot too. Let's see. I did see something that Scott said a little bit ago, which is a total win. Scott bought a 90s Jimi Hendrix System fuzz for $65 the other day, and he's hoping to find some NKTs in there. Dude, that was my first not my first wah pedal. That was my first Crybaby, was the Jimi Hendrix System signature Crybaby. I still have it. It's in the closet in the next room. And my first octave fuzz was a Jimi Hendrix System's octave fuzz. And I'm actually currently in the market as well for some of those Jimi Hendrix Systems fuzzes and pedals, because it's so interesting to me with Hendrix over the course of the last few years, how there's such a resurgence and a push by the family to have his image be out there. But as far as a guitar figure, he's never gone away. And I feel like over the course of the last 7 years, we've seen so many different iterations of the same Hendrix pedals. Like we have, there's 2 mini fuzz faces, the Band of Gypsies version, and then the signature edition, which is more like the BC 108 transistor version. But then those got MXR size housing and were like the Jimi Hendrix Signature Series pedals. And then they miniaturized them along with like a Univibe and something else. I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, they're just like constantly reintroducing these Hendrix pedals. But back in the 90s, like there was already something there. And they, in my opinion, were much closer to what Jimmy probably was actually using. Because they were so basic. They were just in the MXR size enclosure. And I wish I still had that octave fuzz. I ended up selling it to a friend of mine just because, I sold it for a couple of reasons. One, I wasn't really getting octave fuzz at the time. I was much younger than I am now. And 2, my uncle had given me a Roger Mayer Octavia. So it was kind of like, if you're going to have an octave fuzz, you might as well have the OG. So I stuck with the Roger Mayer for a while. I sold off the Jimi Hendrix one. I got $100 for it or something like that from a buddy. And then I sold the Roger Mayer, mainly because it only took battery and I couldn't fit it adequately on a pedal board. And I just wasn't using octave fuzz. And then last year, MXR sent me their Octavio, which I checked out and really liked, but I'm just not really using octave fuzz all that much. And I have in the closet in the next room an orange fur coat fuzz, which is a Fox tone machine. So it has this really raucous and gnarly, like punk rock shoegaze kind of gargantuan fuzz sound, which I really, really love. And then a foot switchable upper octave. So if I ever want octave fuzz, I tend to go with that pedal. But that's a total steal. For $65, that's really hard to beat. And if you do end up finding the NKTs inside it, you really got a winner. I know also in that series, they had the 2 MXR pedal size pedals, and then they had a Jimi Hendrix System fuzz face. But I think they called it the fuzz unit, I think. So I think it was, they had the wah, they had the classic fuzz in the red enclosure, the octave fuzz in the black enclosure, and then they had the fuzz unit, I think, in the red enclosure for a while as well, and then there was the fuzz face. So there's quite a few out there floating around in the ether. So I'm definitely in the market for those. That's just a really cool little series. But I like that you've been converted to fuzz. I find that happens a lot lately. I think it's because more players are embracing these tones and finding that you can actually use them more than you thought you could. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, fuzz unit, then later fuzz face. When they bought Arbor, it was black. Okay, there you go. French Toast, the creator of Fox Tone Machine, owns Dan Electro and re-released the pedal in the 90s as a French Toast. Okay, all right, killer. Ah, Ben, I'll see you later, buddy. Have a good one. Let's see. Anything over 6 knobs gives me option paralysis. Let's see. Ah, Scott misses his real blue box. I bought my blue box back in, I want to say 2002, 2003 at Guitar Center in Sherman Oaks, California. And this is back when Dunlop was putting MXR back out into the world. They did the OGs in a block logo, but for some reason the blue box they kept in the script logo. So mine is a reissue blue box, but it has a script logo. It's not like the newer ones that they do with a block logo. I think I paid $60 for it. I managed to talk the guy down, mainly just because I asked him, yo, how long has this been here? Like, do you think you could cut me a deal? And the guy checked the inventory, and it had been at the store for over a year and a half, and they had never sold it. So I ended up getting like a killer deal on it. Oh yeah, JJ knows what he's talking about. He has the original rat pedal. Those definitely get into the fuzz territory. Yep, that is the one. The Dan Electro 3699 fuzz is basically the Fox Tone Machine. Matt is asking the question, how can I get nice or large sustain? Is it possible with fuzz? It's probably more possible with fuzz than anything. But I find that it really just comes down to a whole host of factors. So bear with me. I'm going to try to build on this for you real quick. So if I take off the compressor and start with the clean tone, we have the following. Put on the compressor. Now you can get some good sustain out of compressors, but that's not really what their job is. I don't really know what to tell you other than that. It's hard to explain in a really quick thing. So now let's go to some distortion. Here's the Ibanez Session Man with the compressor. Now you can sort of fake sustain by adding some vibrato, because it essentially keeps the note moving and whatnot. And that little bit of pitch bending sort of simulates the idea of sustain as a psychoacoustic phenomenon. So then you can add more gain in front of it with an overdrive, of course. But then if you add fuzz, but you have to keep in mind, I'm playing direct right now. There's no speaker that's running in here that will allow me to create a feedback loop. And that feedback loop that you tend to get at that very specific point where your guitar is working and firing off on all cylinders, your amp is working and firing off on all cylinders, and it's creating this sort of reciprocal relationship where the note is being amplified and it turns over on itself, that creates sustain as well. There is, of course, also the idea of using magnets to create an electromagnetic field, like with what do you call those ideas? What are those? Sustainers and EBOs. That's essentially what that is. But you can get sustain in just about any way that you could possibly imagine. And then, of course, you can add delay, you can add reverb, and that'll fake the sustain. But sustain is one of those things that you can get in just about any situation. But in order to get the real sustain, the conditions just have to be right. So that's what I would suggest. Or that's what I say. Let's see. Dude, orange compressor. All about optical compressors, like a more yellow comp or orange compressor. I have the compressor. I love the compressor. It's one of my favorite compressor pedals ever. I say go orange compressor. It's also built like a tank. So that's mine. Lillian ordered an Odin fuzz pedal with octave made by a Norwegian company. That looks like fun. I'm gonna have to look into that. Have I looked at the Donner Softgate? Is that a noise gate? And no, I haven't. I have actually not played any Donner stuff. Mostly just because I don't know who to talk to in order to get that stuff. And I don't have like a whole lot of excess income to like buy pedals and make videos on it. And I don't really have the time to do that kind of stuff either. I just have to take what comes in and I make videos according to that. I'd love to check out more like inexpensive stuff. So if any companies out there are watching that make inexpensive pedals and want me to check them out and be honest about them, hit me up. My email is easy to find. Ooh, nice, Scott. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Those octave fuzzes on reverb for $100. Yes. Awesome. Yes, Matt, you should get a compressor. Every guitar player should have a compressor. Every single one. Anything Jupiter effects is worth getting. I would agree. Jupiter makes some really, really fun stuff. And if you're not having fun making music, what's the point? Tom Lyle says 412 cabs do best for sustain. Yes and no. Yes, just because you got all that, signal getting pumped out. But I use 212 cabs on almost every gig that I play, and I feel like I get a really, really good amount of sustain out of that 212. Cheap noise gate works incredibly well. It has an effects loop built into the pedal like the newer ISPs. Fantastic. Use it on tubular column. Oh, interesting. Hopefully I'll have to be able to check it out. You have mentioned the Oricon Crust. What about it? It's just... Okay, so Fret Level Midnight is recommending the more yellow comp, and I'm recommending the orange compressor. Honestly, man, it just comes down to what are you looking for. I'm sure that the Moore is a mini pedal. So if you need to save on pedalboard real estate, then you might want to go with that. What I love about the compressor, and I don't know a whole lot about the yellow comp, but what I know about the compressor is that you have individual attack and release time controls, and that comes in very handy for working with different genres of music. And also the ability to add a little bit of high end that you end up losing through the compression process and in the circuitry. You end up getting a little bit more of a brilliant compressed sound out of it. And I just feel like it works for so much. And Gillis is a fan of the Diamond compressor. That was actually the first compressor pedal I ever played that made me get compressors. So that is a good one as well. Maddie, I would actually also recommend looking at the, let's see, you say Keeley C4. If that's the Keeley Compressor Plus, then I can definitely give you a thumbs up on that one. The, Robert's the king of pedal compressors. But optical compressors are a whole other thing. Let's see, lots of compressor fans in here, which is good. Tom Lyle wishes they had a 3-band compressor for guitar. So he'd like a multi-band compressor. Multi-band compressors are very helpful, but very few people understand how to use them well. There's a lot of, in my experience using compressors, multi-band compressors in mixes, it could be very tough when you start over-compressing one frequency band and under-compressing another frequency band. There's this weird audio phenomenon that makes your audio almost feel like it's slowing down. It's a very strange thing. But the reason I'm using the Strymon, you heard it on the studio compression, so that was a little bit more transparent of a compression sound. But I can flick it to the squeeze. And it's much more like your classic guitar compressor. That was fun. But yeah, compressors are great. Compressors are highly misunderstood and highly underrated. I recommend exploring as many of them as possible because there are so many different types, so many different ways that the compression effect is achieved. The optical is great. It's probably one of the more transparent types. But then VCA stuff and like your typical like Dynacomp kind of stuff, there's so many great tones that you can have when it comes to compression from pedals. I haven't I have not played the JHS Pulp and Peel, but I know plenty of people that like it. And I don't know if I would necessarily agree with you, Scott, because I love this, I have the JHS Bonsai on this board. And the other JHS pedal that I currently have is the Clover. And I like both of these a lot. I've had the AT Plus, which was another great one. And I've played so many of JHS's pedals over the years. They're all generally pretty good. The Angry Charlie is a big one for me that I like a lot. Hey, Alex Sandor has joined in the chat. How you doing, Alex? Good to see you here. Welcome to the show. I can't find anything in compressors for me. So, okay. Let's go ahead and help Alex out here a little bit. So, what is it? Okay, I'm going to ask you two questions. And please don't be offended. What is it that you think a compressor is supposed to do? Number one. And two, what is it about compressor pedals that don't do anything for you? If you can answer those questions and you can actually give me some answers on them, I can probably walk you through what you need to do. Aljon Go, how you doing, buddy? You know, since Aljon is here, let's grab a Les Paul. Pardon me for a moment. Why not change, Aljon? I haven't played this one all week. And we might as well get the number one in on a live show. Haven't played this one on the show in quite some time. Yeah. All right, let's see if we can help Alex out here. Oh yeah, Aljon's down with compressors, so let's do this. Okay, Alex says, well, obviously compressing the sound. So is that what do you think a compressor is supposed to do, or is that what do you want a compressor to do? I will answer your question with a question. Because, okay, and I'm not saying this to sound like a dick, and I'm not saying, and I really want to help you, because I used to be that person that was like, I'll never be able to use a compressor. I'll never get it. And what really changed everything for me was when I was in college, I went to MI's audio engineering program, and that was the first time I ever got the chance to understand what a compressor was really supposed to do. Because the way that most pedal companies and effects companies market a pedal compressor is it's always a compressor slash sustainer, so that creates this whole sort of false narrative of what a compressor is supposed to do. They advertise it as something that can give you more sustain. They advertise it as something that increases something about guitar tone that we love, when the reality of what a compressor's job is intended to be is it's something that's intended to limit the dynamic range of an instrument. And it takes your loud parts and makes them quieter, and can even make your quiet parts seem louder by limiting the dynamic range of your instrument. It sticks within this very specific range. So, okay, it's supposed to make silent notes louder. Instead, what you need to think about is that it makes the loud notes quieter. The silent notes louder is more of an expander idea, which is a whole other can of worms. A compressor is going to take your sound wave, which has peaks and troughs just like a normal wave, and it's going to cut down those loud peaks and bring them down in volume. Now, what you can do a lot of times with compressors is they'll give you a variable amount of how the compressor is supposed to work, how hard it's going to compress and how hard it's going to chop down on those peaks. The other thing too is that a lot of them have the ability to make up for some of the signal that you end up inherently losing by bringing down those peaks of the sound waves. So like right now with my Strymon Compadre, it's got a compression control, which is sort of a ratio and threshold control in one. And then it has a level control, which is the overall output of that compressed signal, but it also has a control for the dry signal. I can add in a little bit more of that to get a sort of parallel compression thing going on. That tends to counteract that parallel compression idea, some of the shortcomings of what compressors might do. You see that on the other one that I can think of right now is the Keeley Compressor Plus, which is another one of my favorites. Actually, there's a Dynacomp Deluxe that MXR has out right now that they do that has it as well. That has a clean blend on it. So that's really what a compressor is supposed to do. It's supposed to limit the dynamic range. But if we look at a Dynacomp, for example, Aljon brings up the Dynacomp Mini. Let's consider that for a second. The Dynacomp is two knobs, output and compression, sustain, some variation of those terms. Most guys that have gotten anything out of the Dynacomp pretty much crank that thing. And it's just that with a Telecaster, probably into a deluxe reverb, and that's your classic country guitar tone. That compression and that sound driving the front of your amp with the compressed signal full bore is kind of part of the thing. But because that kind of was the prevailing thought of like, that's what a compressor is supposed to do, people got misinformed. You can use a Dynacomp in more subtle settings and get that sort of transparent, clean compression sound. I'll go back to my clean tone and show you exactly what the compressor is doing for me. So middle position, this is no compression on. Now I'm going to turn on the compressor. And now I'm going to turn it on and off as I play those chords. First on. So what I'm not really getting that squash out of it. I'm getting this sort of enlivening of the sound. It's regulating the levels of the low strings and the high strings so that across the fretboard, everything sounds very even and one pitch isn't sticking out too far over the other. Lillian says brings out the tone, and I do kind of feel like that. So for me, the Strymon Compadre Studio Compressor, which is a much more transparent, less apparent kind of compression sound. But then I can go to the squash setting or the squeeze setting, and that's going to be much more in line with your typical guitar compressor. You can already sense that there's a little bit more squash to it. So, you know, you have to think about that too. Now, if I do the same lick with the Strymon on the studio, you know, it doesn't have quite that same effect on the tone. It's a little softer. It's not quite as apparent. And really, you just have to kind of explore it and look at it from that standpoint of like, it's not something about getting sustain. It's about controlling dynamic range. When you have that idea in your head, it's a lot easier to go into a store and take a look at the compressors and be able to try to get something out of them. Once I had that concept, and once I especially understood how it works in the context of the recording studio, things just made so much more sense in terms of the pedal compressors that I would then get into my possession. So as long as you have that thought process in your head, as long as you have that concept, you should be much more open and able to find a good sound from just about any compressor pedal you want. Ah, awesome. I'm so glad, Alex, that we were able to help you out there. And trust me, like if you have any questions, you are always free to hit me up on social media. You're always welcome here in the chat, welcome in the channel. I'm always here to answer questions. So bring your troubles to me. Bring your pedal troubles to me, and we will try to figure them out. Ah, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Ah, I see what you're saying. I play primarily overdriven, distorted tones. So how do you suggest to use the compressor in that situation? Very good question, because that's actually what you were just hearing. So for me, the Strymon Compadre is always on. No matter what kind of guitar tone that I'm doing, no matter what guitar I'm plugged into, I have this one sound that I find that works across all kinds of different genres, all kinds of different tones. So we start with this clean tone with the compressor. Let's go to the high gain tone that I was just using, which has the Rev G3. Now I have the compressor running before the G3. So what I'm getting is the guitar signal getting compressed, getting all that sort of dynamic range change. Oh, that's a good one, dynamic range change, that a compressor can do. It's getting that output, and it's providing that little bit more oomph. And as Lillian pointed out, it brings out the tone, so to speak. That's coming before the distortion sound, which without it sounds like this. Turning on the compressor. Turning it off. Back on. And exactly what Tom just said. More definition with the compressor, because what the compressor can do is it can sort of clean up what your guitar pickup is outputting. Before it hits the distortion, you get a clearer picture, or at least the pedal will get a clearer picture of what to distort and what to color, and what overall it's going to change what comes out of it. Both sounds are equally as useful, and both of them sound equally as good, but the compressor is sort of like the dude's rug. It really tied the room together, did it not? I think so. There it is. And that especially is handy when it comes to extended range instruments like the 7-string. I think I should probably demonstrate that. We're running a little long tonight, but hey, we haven't done one of these in what, 3 weeks? So let's make it happen. Alex is asking, glad you like the tone, man. Thank you. And yes, the compressor is always on. So I'll run through my 4 preset sounds. Let me get a little tune up real quick. So this is the clean tone with the compressor on. Then the crunch tone has the JHS Bonsai and the compressor. Thanks for coming in, Gillis. Really appreciate it, buddy. Hope you have a good weekend. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Then the distortion sound is the Ibanez Session Man, which is like a rat-style distortion with the compadre running into that. And then finally, the Rev G3 with the compadre. Now, if we go real down low and we start getting into the B stuff, Now that I turned the compressor off, let's turn the compressor on. Really just helps kind of clean things up, and that you can hear some more of those higher notes in the chords a little bit better. So yeah, it's always on for me, especially this one. Previously with the Keeley Compressor Plus, I was having that on all the time as well. Fret level midnight. All right, guys, we gotta have to wrap this up really quick, but I'll try to answer a few more questions. Having fun is putting the compressor after your dirt pedal. I have not done that in a while, but it is fun, and it's a very different world of sound. So if anybody wants to try to do that, I recommend it. You're probably not going to use it all the time, but boy howdy, it sure is fun. And that's basically what you're doing in the recording studio anyway. You're compressing something distorted after the fact. So something to keep in mind. And then let's see. Fret Level Midnight asking, have you tried the Maxon Apex 808? I actually really love mine, all cork sniffing aside. I have not actually gotten the chance to try it. I was talking with the guys at Maxon sometime last year, but when COVID really hit, it was really, it was hard to really line things up. I think now that things are seeming to get a little bit of swing back to normal, we might be seeing some stuff. I'll get back in touch with them in the near future, because I would love to play a lot of the stuff that they have coming out. So you never know. I haven't played it yet, but who's to say that we won't see it in the near future. And let's see, Alex saying, I guess I started getting it. Awesome, man. I'm glad that we can help you out. I'm glad you stopped in. You turned it into compressor night, which was a lot of fun for me. I love compressors. Yeah, Godlike is back up again. So I'll try to get in touch with them in the near future. And finally, this will be the last question before we wrap up for the night. How many years have I been playing guitar? Oh boy, I just started thinking about this last week, because it occurred to me it was 2 decades ago that I got my first pedal. Awesome, Alex. So glad that you enjoyed it. It's almost morning. Do you sleep? I don't sleep. So yeah, I've been playing for Fret Level Midnights at 22 years. I'm at 22 years as well. Started playing when I was 11, so you do the math. Oh, buddy. Look at who it is with a $5 super chat for you, boy. It is Garguts Entertainment, AJ Moore. Dude, I was just thinking about you the other day. You and I need to have a chat pretty soon, because we might be able to make this thing happen again. And some interesting little developments since the last time we talked, too. And with that, my friends, I'm going to call it a night. Aw, dude, Fret Level Midnight, tag along super chat later, people. Thanks, Fret Level Midnight, and thank you to all of you guys for tuning in. Everybody who's been here for the long haul, and those of you who are those of you who had just joined in for our little impromptu compressor lesson. That was really fun. I liked that a lot, and I appreciate you guys sticking around with me and listening to my ranting. But we're at an hour and a half now, and this was longer than I thought we were going to go tonight, but I appreciate it so much. Thank you, of course, for the super chats, guys. That's a great way to help support the channel in the near future on any future live shows. You can also join the Patreon, which is going to see a relaunch in the next couple of weeks, working on some new perks, working on some new things that will definitely give you more of your money's worth. So, you know, be advised on that one. And of course, click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. There isn't going to be a video this Saturday just because I don't have the time to work on one and get it ready. But rest assured, in the next couple of weeks, you will be seeing a lot more videos. We got the Fender Mustang Micro video coming up very, very shortly. We will, of course, have the Friedman Small Box video, the Ormsby SX GTR demo as well, and of course, a mystery pedal that I will reveal once it arrives. Very excited about this one. Thank you all so much, friends. I greatly appreciate it. Aljon, thank you, my friend. Good to see you. Let's talk again real soon. And to all of you, thank you so much for joining in. Until next time, I'm SeanPierceJohnson. I wish you all out there great tone, great health, and of course, happy stomping. Cheers, friends. We'll talk soon. I'll see you in the future. God bless.